Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, a show dedicated to all things watches, with a special love for microbrands and their affordable range. I'm your host Praka, and some of you might know me as Kinda Average Watches. Join me as we explore new releases, share tips on building your collection, and put in some overtime with hands-on reviews of the latest watches. Whether you're a bit of a pro or you're just getting into the hobby, this podcast will keep you entertained with great stories from the people in the industry, casual conversations, and guest hosts who bring their own unique perspectives. Let's get started. G'day listeners, thanks for tuning in to Overtime the Podcast, proudly sponsored by WatchPoint. Now, WatchPoint. You've probably heard a couple of episodes that I've released the last couple of weeks, couple of months, talking about WatchPoint. I think the ad in the middle of the podcast episodes probably give it away. WatchPoint is this new, exciting destination in Melbourne. But I thought, you know what would really top this off is having the owner of WatchPoint come on and have a chat and tell us all about it, go into why and how and all the questions around it. So without further ado, thanks for joining the podcast again, Matt. How you going?
Not too bad, thanks, Raka, and thanks for having me on again for round 3. I hope everyone out there's not sick of my voice, but no, it's great to be here.
No, never. It's always good to have you on, and I guess in a slightly different capacity this time.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, really exciting news for WatchPoint and exciting news for Overtime the podcast as well.
Exactly. And before we get too far into the episode, of course, got to do the wrist check. What's in your wrist, mate?
I am wearing the lovely Paipan constellation. I haven't been able to take it off the wrist for the past few days, so
Beautiful.
yeah, beautiful vintage piece there. But what about yourself? What's on the wrist?
I have the Monbrey MB1, lovely sunburst blue dial, the really interesting case shape as well with that wedge design. Yeah, wore it to the office today and yep, I'm continuing it tonight as well.
Classic. I love the anti-magnetic and the little thunderbolt on
Oh yeah.
the case back as well. It's a
Yeah.
classic piece.
Yeah, it's very classic. Yeah, I love that. Love the work that they're doing. All right, let's do it. Let's get into it. Matt, thanks again joining. And of course, like I said, you are joining in a different capacity. Usually when we hear from you or when I've spoken to you, we're talking Hz, which is your brand, Hz.Watches. But now you've started your, I guess, a different venture. What got you started with WatchPoint?
Yeah, great question. So definitely a new venture, but one that's sort of complementary to HZ and complementary to the world of microbrands and the whole microbrand space that we operate in. So I guess going back to, what got me started and, what is WatchPoint and how we came about with HZ, one of the logical next steps in our progression was to be able to get watches on wrists in a capacity where people could come and try before they buy. So we had a lot of people reach out and ask, where can I see these watches? And we've been super fortunate that we've had some great watch events like Wristwatch Check, Watch Fest. We popped over to the UK for World Time UK last year. But outside of these one-off events, there were no places where we could really connect with watch collectors, watch enthusiasts, and showcase our watches. So with that in mind, probably late last year, I started looking into how are we going to break into retail so people can see our watches and handle them and see that see if they like it or not. And faced a few hurdles getting into the retail space, especially as a micro brand. So, as all of you, probably are familiar with, microbrands operate on most of the time operate on a pre-order sales model. So with retailers, it's, a bit harder to, take pre-orders from a retailer or, even like, how do you get watches out to there if you haven't produced the
Yeah.
batches of watches? It's not something that can be done. And the other side as well is, one of the reasons why microbrands offer such great value for money is because often our margins are much lower than the traditional big box brands. And so with this, quickly learned that retailers take quite a large margin from the sort of watches they stock. And for a lot of microbrands, it just wouldn't, be able to make sense to jump into a retailer. So yeah, I kind of found that, That's the reason why microbrands aren't in retail spaces, which is a real shame because, there are so many great brands out there doing so many great things, and people just don't get a chance to see them in person. And
Yeah.
it's all sort of online only. You've got to refer to photos and YouTube videos, which are great, but it's so much different when compared to having the
In the
watch on your wrist.
flesh. Yeah, that's right. It's one of the things that I've always tried to advocate for is affordable, I guess, microbrand range, right? I mean, we touched on it, we operate in this space and that's and every single time I always want to tell people, shout from the top and say, hey, check out this brand. They're doing great things. And and I can get some of the point across, but what sometimes I feel is people are like, oh, cool, what shop can I go in to try it out? And I was like, yeah, well, about that, it's not quite so, whilst I guess a lot of us enthusiasts have adopted that model of basically looking at YouTube videos, watching YouTube videos, reading the specs, figuring out the ideal lug to lug size on our wrist so that we know whether the watch that we're going to order is going to fit our wrist or not. But I guess yes, it's such a brilliant way, a unique way of saying, hey, you know what, we can bring this to the people, and especially you're in brand, you want to get it out there, you want people to try it on. So I love what you've done. So you got into this, you fought for that, and all this work leading up to it, you got to this point now, which is you've just opened the grand opening has happened a couple of days ago. So talk to us about the space. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going really well. The grand opening was just on Saturday, the 12th. So yeah, a few days ago, and it was a busy weekend, which was great. It was great to see, watch collectors, watch enthusiasts turn out and come to our showroom and just get to see some really really cool watches in person, in the flesh. So that's what we're about at WatchPoint, bringing all of these brands that people don't normally get to see, and can only really be seen online or once per year, or if you're lucky enough to have a friend who's purchased one before, and just bring them to a space where people can come and try, come and you know come up and have a chat with other watch enthusiast collectors, come up and have a chat with us, and just learn the stories about these brands, handle them in person. So it was a wonderful weekend. I think after about, so we opened 9 a.m. on Saturday, and after about 9:15 for almost the whole weekend, the showroom wasn't empty. It was
Amazing.
bustling, it was noisy, there were great vibes, countless, wrist shots and wrist checks, and it was just so great. It brought a smile to my face just seeing all these people come in, going like, wow, you've got this brand. I've been watching YouTube videos about them, but I've never been able to, see them before. So it was really fantastic, and to be able to, also help promote the world of microbrands, promote all of these great brands doing great things, and get a few sales for them as well. So it was a very successful opening for us, and we can't wait to keep continuing to do the same into future, and continue to have more and more people up into our showroom.
That's amazing, amazing. I also have a very big smile on my face as well because obviously we've been talking, I've been talking about this with you for a little while as well. You shared when you first shared with me that you're doing this and you're doing this, and it's very exciting. I was like, wow, it's amazing. And then when you told me that you won to sponsor Overtime the podcast, I was equally as enthusiastic about it. And hearing that, hearing you saying, I'm able to share. We as Watchpoint is able to share the microbrand story to people, and I think it's very hard to get from a legacy brand. Yes, you may have the history of years and years and years and years of producing watches, and that's fantastic. So please don't, get me wrong. You can't take that away. That'll always be there. But the stories of the small brands, the underdogs, the ones that are doing the different things, the different styles, or just you putting their own unique spin to it, and to be able to sit down and show someone that in person. And yeah, like you say, just share your passion as well, and it really comes through from what you're saying. So that's amazing. So obviously, HZ, right, which is your brand, and it's been going fantastic. You know, we've obviously spoken about HZ01 and the HZ02 in the past, and you have that in your showroom, of course, which is the whole reason of why you started this. But it's not the only reason, or it's not the only brands that you have there. Like you said, there's more than HZ. So obviously, in the ad, I've spoken about a couple. I've spoken about Bausele, Second Hour, RZE, Monbrey, and I believe Erebus is one of the latest to join as well. Have I missed anything else? What else have we got there?
Yeah, we have a fantastic list of brands, and we're looking to add more and more to that every day. So in store, we have what we call our wall of microbrands. So it's a beautiful 4 meter wall from just, cabinets from floor to almost to the ceiling, just all these wonderful microbrands. So I can sort of rattle through the list. We have Bausele, we have Monbrey, we have Ocean to Orbit, RZE, Galvin, Selten, Ubiq, Erebus, Second Hour, Sunrex, Vario, Marlio, Melbourne Watch Company, Zealandic Grip Auto, and we're probably going to be across the next few weeks, next few months, adding another 5 fantastic microbrands that we're just chatting to now. So it's really great to be able to support all of these brands as well, and get them out in front of people. I think I was reflecting on Sunday just after we sort of closed up the store, and I was kind of like sitting back looking at all of these brands, and I think after the rush of everything, it also kind of settled down from the weekend. I spent like a good half an hour just me myself as a watch collector going around and trying on all these brands and seeing all the cool stuff that they're doing. So yeah, it's just it's great fun.
It just sounds so surreal, and like I've never doubted this, but it just shows your passion towards it. It's not just yes, this is a business. This is another business that you've set up, but it's also your passion coming through, and it's so clear. And that's some awesome brands there. I think I have a sneaky suspicion on what some of the 5 that are coming in as well, but I'm looking forward to them, joining up. And yeah, it's awesome, and we're not talking about we've got Australian brands there, of course, which is fantastic to see. Melbourne brands, of course, again, awesome to see. We've also got international brands in there as well. Like you got Monbrey and your RZEs, and I can't really remember off the top of my head. Anyway, you'd rattle through so many Sunrex. There's more some international brands as well. So it's great to see, and you're located in the Block Arcade in Collins Street. See, I haven't had the opportunity to travel to Collins Street in a long time, actually. The last time I went there was for my honeymoon, which is a while back now. And from what I understand from everyone that I've spoken to that's been there, is that you're in the hub of watches in Melbourne. As you put out this video, I think I saw it was like, Grand Seiko's right there. You walk up, take the lifts, and you're there, and you're there. So, speak to us. I mean, you are in the hub, and was this obviously this was an intentional choice to be where all the other watches are.
Yeah, definitely. For those that are in Melbourne, they will know that in the watch space, something very cool is happening on Collins Street. It's where it's at, in that sort of little bit between Swanston Street and Elizabeth Street. That strip there, just on Collins, it's bustling with watch shops. And yeah, for those outside of Melbourne, you have to come and see it and experience it for yourselves when you're here next, or come and take a trip just to shop watches for a weekend.
If you're into microbrand and independent watches, which you clearly are as you're listening to this podcast, you got to check out WatchPoint. WatchPoint is the newest destination in Melbourne, Australia for microbrand and independent watches. But it's more than just a brick and mortar store. It's a hub for watch enthusiasts. Come check out brands such as HZ, Bausele, Second Hour, RZE, and Monbrey, and other exciting watches you won't find anywhere else. WatchPoint is also your go-to website for buying said watches, exploring microbrand profiles, discovering new releases, and staying informed with editorials, industry insights, and buying guides. So if you're keen on trying out your favorite microbrand watches, drop into Shop 304, Level 3, the Block Arcade on Collins Street, or visit watchpoint.com.au or check them out on Instagram at watchpoint.au for more.
And just sort of outside that, we've probably got about a 400-meter strip where you've got all of these wonderful watch shops, from the brand boutiques themselves. I'm just thinking, within sort of 50, 100 meters, we've got Bell and Ross and Grand Seiko, Oris, Bremont, all sort of within the vicinity of the Block Arcade. Just up the road a little, you've got Longines, you've got Tissot, you've got Swatch, you've got Omega, you've got Hourglass, Watches of Switzerland, and then Time and Tide a little bit further just up the road, and some other great watch shops like Watch Gallery and Swiss Emporium. It's all happening. If you
Yeah.
go up the other end, there's IWC, there's Panerai, so it's yeah, there's something special on Collins Street. So for us, when we set up, it was where we had to be
Yeah.
in the heart of it all.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. Oh, so many brands, and like you said, you're going to make a weekend out of it if you're not in Melbourne. And yes, that will be my plan soon enough. Don't you worry. And yeah, obviously, of those for those who don't listen regularly, I'm on the other side of Australia, sunny Western Australia. So it's quite yeah. Even though we're both in the same country, it's quite the journey away. So well, I will get there though. I definitely have to check it out. So amazing, amazing. It's so awesome to see that you've got the space set up now and a hub for people to go and chat watches and just try on different things and what I understand as well is what we haven't really touched on is you also have this other section in the shop and it has watches as well, but not quite the micro brand watches talking about. What kind of watches are those?
Yeah, so for those who know me and my collecting habits, I'm also very, very big vintage watch collector. So we have a very exciting display cabinet which we use as our desk, and at any one time we'll have a sort of curated selection of between 50 and 60 very cool vintage watches in our showroom. So you can come see Microbrands, you can come see vintage watches. We've got, a great range from, a lot of JDM Seikos, vintage Seikos, Citizens. To we've had quite a few Cradors, Universal Genève, and to your a few Omegas, Grand Seikos, and the like. So assortment of all things vintage and just watches we think are really cool and something you don't see every day. So definitely, if you are also a vintage watch collector, worth a visit.
Oh yeah, vintage watches is my jam as well, and yes, I mean there's a reason why in the last couple of years we have all these 70s design watches and 60s design watches and 80s design even coming back into style because there was some amazing designs back there. So to be able to actually check out these actual watches that that have that design and right there in there like you said what up to 50, which is just amazing. That's a huge collection in itself. I mean, putting aside the micro brands itself, I mean this itself is like another watch shop, what I mean? So you don't see that very often at all. The most I've seen is going to a watchmaker and they have maybe one or two watches sitting in their drawer and you're like, oh cool, what do you got there? It's like, oh, got vintage this or something. So amazing, amazing, cool. So talked about everything that's in the shop, talked about all these brands and everything else. But as I've said in the ad, it's not just a brick and mortar store, it's also a website. You're going to have a website that you can buy these watches, as I understand.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And what else can we expect? And believe the website is imminently
Yes, we'll
launched.
be expecting the website in the coming days. So maybe even by the time this, you're listening to it, this our website is out, but we'll have www.watchpoint.com.au, and on that website we'll be writing, lots of content and editorial and articles just about the brands, the watches that we think are really cool, and give you a bit more, in-depth stories behind, the specific designs or the brands, the owners. So we've got some really cool articles lined up, some sort of fireside chat with the owners of all of these really cool micro brands about, how they got started or their inspiration to, just our, sort of news on what's happening in the microbrand world and market, and, what watches have come out, what are the new releases.
Mm.
And then we'll have the shop side of our website, which will have a great selection of all of the microbrands we carry and more. So including our vintage watches. So yeah, very exciting to kind of be active on all fronts there.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And this is perfect for all of our listeners that aren't in Melbourne. I can play along as well. We've got to have some international listeners from many countries around the world. So you can check it out. You can check out all, and it's one spot that you can check out all these different micro brands in that page, and also, like I said, the vintage curated collection as well. I'm really looking forward to reading through some of the articles and editorials, of course, and some of those in-depth stories. Fantastic. And I'm going to try and time it so we release this so that the website's already live. But TBC, TBC,
Yeah, fantastic.
TBC. Awesome, awesome. Look, I can't I can't congratulate you enough. Well done on just on a personal level. Oh yes, you're sponsoring the podcast, and that's amazing. That's awesome for us. It's also, it's a great relationship there as well. But just as a friend, congratulations. This is not a small task. You're running a watch company. You're running this now a business selling said watches and other watches, and the internet side of things, and all that. So well done.
No, thank you, Parker. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, especially just all your support as well over the past few months, all the chats we've had. So yeah, it was a no-brainer to, just seeing the passion you and, by extension over time the podcast also has for, sharing the love of watches and these wonderful micro brands as well. For us, it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. We've got to also support the podcast.
No, I appreciate that. And no, I mean it's a given in that sense that, I think we just need to spread the joy of these smaller brands, of these micro brands. I think there's so much, you and I know, of course, there's so much value to be had in these pieces, and just, the stories, the designs, the everything else, that the adaptability, there's something different is what you get from micro brands, and I love to see that is now being spread to not just our little niche watch enthusiast community online. It's, people off the street can walk up and check it out as well, and I think that's the coolest part of all of this is yes, you love seeing all the enthusiasts there, but you also love seeing just random people going, oh, this is the watch shop, I'm going to go check it out. Oh, what are all these cool different watches? I've never seen these before. So yeah, props to you guys.
Yep, no, thank you. And exactly, micro brands are very, very, very special. So if we can, yeah, grow the love for micro brands, grow the market for micro brands, it's a great thing. And just sort of reflecting on, as I was saying, micro brands are really special. Just a cool story from over the weekend as to, why micro brands are so special. We ran some special offers in store with all the brands. I said, hey, we're doing a grand opening, do you guys want to run any specials or promotions? And, for, a big box brand, they might give you a discount or something like that.
Cool.
But I had Christo, the founder of Bausele. He said, yes, we'll run a promotion. The first person to buy a Bausele from WatchPoint, he'll personally fly down from Sydney and take them out to lunch. So, yep,
Amazing.
that
What
for me just kind of summed up micro brands. It's just, yeah, the personal connection with the founders. It's, yeah, there's something special happening in micro brand land.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and it's hard to ignore. I was talking to, I think, yeah, there was someone on Australian Affordable Watch Forum asked, why microbrands? Why should I look at microbrands or something like that? And and it's pretty much all the stuff that I said before about value for money and different designs, and not a slow moving beast. There's not like the legacy brands. You can iterate. You can adapt to the market. You can adapt to what people want very quickly. But I think, like you mentioned, the another aspect of it is nine times out of 10, you're speaking to the person that is designing the watches, creating that brand, the owner, the person that, has poured their heart and soul into this. And they're passionate about it, and they want to. And nine times out of 10, you're going to get the best responses back. You're going to get, they're going to try their best to help you out. And sometimes you may not get the most favorable outcome or whatever it is, but they always will try and do their best to give customers the best experience that you can get. And that's not something that you're going to get if you go into a big box brand. I mean, sure, you might get your warranties, and you might get all the stuff that come in, and which is all you get microbrands anyway. But you shoot them an email, you can have a chat with them, or you're chatting with them on Instagram. You're talking to the brand owner itself right there and there, and that's something special. I think it also allows you to have a better connection with this piece on your wrist.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, this was it was meant to be a very short, very introductory episode, and I think we've achieved the purpose of it. And also, Matt has been so busy the last week, and the fact that he took some time out to come on and chat is thank you so much. His man has has been stretched thin, and so really really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Parker. It's always a pleasure to be on, and thank you again for taking the time to have me on.
Always, always, anytime, anytime. Do always like to finish up with a bit of something interesting. We've spoken about a lot of interesting things. If you don't have to, if you don't have anything interesting that you want to talk about, but if I'll open it up anyway. Anything interesting you want to chat about?
It's a good one. I'll throw in the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So we actually were just we went to a quick 1 hour sort of showcase tonight. First time
Nice.
we've ever been to a comedy show. So the showcases, they kind of show these up and coming comedians. But yeah, for those around, I mean, I think there's only a few days left. Probably by the time this only gets out, it might be a next year thing. But definitely just want to say we found it super fun. It was interesting, and for those who are around and may have thought about it but haven't had the chance to go yet, definitely worth going to support them.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Melbourne Comedy Festival, I think where there's always I see the reruns of them sometimes. Sometimes they record the bigger comedians. They show them on the screen, and we get some international people on there as well. So awesome, awesome. I usually go to the Fringe Festival stuff. I don't know if do you guys have a Fringe Festival in Melbourne?
Not too sure.
Okay, yeah. I guess it's something similar. They do comedies, they do like art shows and different stuff like that. I think Adelaide has it, Perth has it. Things started off in Edinburgh, goes around the world. But yeah, it's another awesome thing as well. And Fringe is well past in Perth as well. I think it was in Feb or something like that. So anyway, that reminded me of that. So cool. Something interesting from my end. I don't know whether well, I guess it's not really very interesting, but I will say it anyway. I don't usually get compliments on my watches. No, I don't know if you do when you're around non-watch people, but today I got complimented on watch saying, "Oh, that's a really nice watch. That bracelet looks really nice on that. Oh, thank you." And which is, not very often I get compliments on watches from non-watch people, outside of watch gatherings and stuff like that. So anyway, not very interesting, but I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, very cool. The more people seeing as cool watches, maybe the more people we can convert into watch enthusiasts.
Yes, yes. My wife always has a laugh whenever I'm talking to someone new, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at watches. Oh, not another one. Like, yeah, sorry. Whoops. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's it. Come to the end of the episode. A short one today, a quick one to discuss everything about WatchPoint. So thank you so much, Matt, for joining me.
No, thank you, Parker, for having me on. Appreciate it. And always good fun to chat.
Awesome. Always is. Well, there's nothing else. We'll leave it right there. Cheers. Thank you for listening to Overtime the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our Instagram at Overtime the podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, or flick me an email on overtimethepod@gmail.com. I appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you would like the podcast to cover in the future, please hit us up. Until next time.